This super niche feature of the GH6 from Panasonic makes this camera a great tool for everybody who wants to use their old Super 8 lenses. I already did 2 videos on this topic since I love shooting on small formats on my camera such as Super 16 and Super 8. One was on the GH5 and one was on the GX80. Both cameras can record in very small formats due to the feature that they can read out a 1x1 pixel readout from the sensor, which means that for each pixel the camera uses one sensor on the sensor, so we get a very small center portion of the frame when we use this feature in a full HD recording. So with this feature, Micro Four Thirds cameras can do something that no full frame camera can do at the moment, and that is to shoot in the Super 8 sensor size. The GX80 and also other Lumix cameras such as the GH4 that use the 16 megapixel sensors are not that usable in that mode because the sensors on the sensor are much bigger, so the full HD portion in the center of the sensor is much bigger. It gets tolerable with the GH5, which has 20 megapixels, but you still have to crop in a little bit and you still get a little bit of vignette since Super 8 has an even smaller sensor size. I think Panasonic struck gold here with the GH6 when it comes to those smaller sensor sizes, because when we use the UHD pixel by pixel readout we get a crop of 1.5 times, which is almost Super 16, and when we crop in full HD we get a crop of a factor of 6 times, which is Super 8 sized. So that's just great, and I will also test out the Super 16 crop in UHD in the future if you are interested. So how do we make this work? First, you need a C-mount to MFT adapter. This is just an ordinary one of Amazon. You can buy any of them. They are all the same, I think. And you need a great lens like this Schneider Kreuznach Oktava 6 to 70 f1.4. Constant aperture, by the way. So we put this on our lens, and next we just simply put this lens onto our GH6. So it's on, and then we have to engage the pixel by pixel readout, which I have programmed onto the dash cam button, and we only use the center portion of the frame in full HD. As you can see in this comparison between the GH5 and the GH6, that the GH6 doesn't vignette as strong as the GH5 does in the Super 8 sensor readout. And for stabilization, what's also great about the GH6 is that you can program what focal length you use, and it will stabilize this old lens. That's just great. The new stabilization menu of the GH6, I don't know if I like it already. You have to program in all your focal lengths. So for example, I have to program in 6 millimeters if I want to use this lens on its widest position. It's something I have to get used to, but I think it's faster than typing in what focal length you use that you had to do on the GH5. But when you know where what focal length is in the stabilization menu, you will get more confident, and it only takes a couple of seconds if you switch the focal length. I went out and just did a test, and I felt very confident after a couple of minutes, so it works very well. There is, in my opinion, a certain look to those smaller formats, the deep depth of field and the softer image, the chromatic aberrations, the glow that you have over the whole frame. Those are the things that remind me of shooting on real film. Of course, this will never replace real film. I would never say that, but if you want to experiment and have a certain look on your digital film, I think this is a great option. There is also another argument why I think that the GH6 is the best digital Super 8 camera right now. You can record in 10-bit 4:2 color subsampling, which is just great for color grading. Also, you have that amazing V-Log profile and not the V-Log L that we had on the GH5. Yes, the GH5 had 10-bit 4:2 already, but what we get on the GH6 is the ability to record in 120 frames per second. And I have to say, I never shot anything like this before. the combination with the extreme crop and this lens and the slow motion. I never shot anything like that before, and I think it looks so unique. Sadly, we can't shoot above 120 frames per second. The GH6 could record up to 200 and 300 frames per second if we use the full sensor readout, but not in the pixel by pixel readout in full HD. I think that is because there are some constraints to the power of this camera, and my guess is that above 120 frames the camera starts to line skip, so we would use a lot of resolution if we would only use the center portion of the frame. I know that there are some other solutions, and Kinefinity made a digital Super 8 camera that could shoot RAW, but that thing never came to the market, and other cameras like the Pentax Q cannot shoot in 10-bit, and there are some DIY options, but there is no options where I can simply grab that thing and start shooting in the Super 8 format. There is no fuss. I put on the lens and I can roll. If you consider using the GH6 for shooting in the Super 8 sized format, please keep in mind that the noise is very magnified in this mode. I would only shoot at base ISO, and if you have to go up, only up to ISO 1600. Above that, I think the noise is just too severe and you get that ugly digital noise and not that nice film grain that you would get if you would shoot on real film. Speaking of film grain, I know there are some great tools where you can get the last bit of that film mojo into your footage, and if you want to see that, I would rather suggest that you subscribe to my channel, because I will take a close look at some very interesting tools in the near future. But that's it from me. I simply love shooting with those older lenses on my cameras. This is where Micro Four Thirds simply shines, since the sensor is smaller, and if we crop in just a little bit, we get those features unlocked, and the GH6 is just great for that. I never had such a pleasant shooting experience shooting with this lens. I will look forward to shooting with my Super 16 lens on the GH6 as well, and when I do that, I will let you know in a coming video. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments down below. I'm here and will gladly answer your questions. And I hope you have a nice day and create something extraordinary.